today is how AI can make a digital transformation more successful. We've really got a changing environment, so pharma has been slow to digitally transform. It was even been slow to digitize. Admittedly, COVID speeded things up, but really it only brought us to where we should have been, and we just hadn't done it as an industry. But that was digitizing. That wasn't what I would call a digital transformation. Our competition is changing. In the old days, we were only competing against other pharma companies, but today we are competing against big tech and small tech. So Google is now making drugs, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft are all in the pharmaceutical space. And we even have companies like Benevolent that started to bring AI in to help pharma find drugs quickly, and quickly realized that they might be able to bring their own drugs to market, which is what they're doing as well. So the environment is changing quite a lot. And we've got a lot of new approaches, many AI-driven, that may reduce pharma's ability to compete if they don't change. So let's talk about digitization versus digital transformation. Digitization is essentially doing exactly what you've always done, but making it digital. And a prime example of that is sales. So sales calls used to always be face-to-face, and now many of them are virtual on Zoom or some other platform. So that's really a good example of digitizing something that was already happening. A digital transformation, on the other hand, is actually transforming the very fabric of how you do things using digital. But there's no cookie-cutter solution. What works for one company is not necessarily going to work for another company. So you really need to be looking at yourself on a case-by-case basis on what your company needs and how it can do this. If we look at the impact of COVID on digitization in pharma, I have noticed a lot of people confusing digitization and digital transformation. There was a survey that asked, how much time did COVID accelerate the digital transformation? And so around the biggest proportion, 30% said more than 6 years. The next biggest one was 27% at less than a year. And then it varied between 1 to 6 years. So I don't actually agree with these numbers. I think this is indicative of digitization, but not digital transformation. So I see the words are being very much confused. Digital transformation, more than simple digitization, is critical to ensure continued growth for pharma companies in an increasingly competitive digital world. In addition to revenue growth and new value shift models future-proofing the company if done well, there's some other key benefits for pharma. One is understanding the customer more in order to provide more value and engagement. Another is providing more value and value add in terms of customization to the customers. Another is the ability to reach the customers in a regulatory environment in a compliant way. We see increased financial performance and the ability to track metrics and performance more easily. Enter artificial intelligence. But where does AI fit into a digital transformation? If we look at companies outside pharma, let's look at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Barnes & Noble was arguably one of the biggest booksellers in the world, dwarfing Amazon dramatically. Then Amazon came along, weaving AI into everything they did, personalizing things, recommending what you would like. From the very beginning, they have had AI woven throughout the fabric of the organization. And what that meant is it basically killed Barnes & Noble's business. They're still around, but they had to shut thousands of stores. They basically decimated them. And the same with Blockbuster and Netflix. You know, Blockbuster was the biggest video rental place that was out there. Netflix came along. Now, in the beginning, Netflix was putting DVDs through the post to people, and that helped. That was a slight competitive advantage. But once they then started weaving AI and doing streaming and weaving AI into everything they did, Blockbuster was gone. If we look at the car industry, Tesla, everything in Tesla is driven by AI. And if we take Toyota out of the picture, the next 6 companies combined mean that if you combine them, they're still Tesla's bigger. So that just shows the power of weaving AI into everything. Now, there's some characteristics of companies that I'm seeing that are failing. And you can see some companies that are not transforming effectively in this way. They're seeing technology as a necessary evil, not as a universal support. Data is collected as an afterthought and put to limited use. And AI is developed and implemented in a top-down fashion rather than directly involving the departments and individuals who will be using it to boost retention and trust. And the AI understanding and adoption is kind of taken for granted or just left to chance. Some great examples of AI use in pharma was during COVID. So Deargen in South Korea decided that they would try and find, out of drugs that were already approved to speed things up, what drug would actually bind and block the SARS-CoV-2 protein. And they came up with atazanavir. Benevolent AI did the same thing. They decided to see, out of the existing drugs, what would work. And they came up with baricitinib. Interestingly, in clinical trials, both of those drugs were very effective to do this. What was even more interesting is if you use the two together in combination, they had even more enhanced efficacy. Now, in silico medicine went another way. They decided, okay, let's actually create something from scratch. So let's use AI to really understand the SARS-CoV-2 protein and see what we can create, what molecule can we design that would do it. And they actually came up with 100 molecules in 4 days. SRI Biosciences and Ixtos did the same thing. They have, Ixtos has deep learning models, and so they designed virtual novel molecules in a similar way to in silico. And then SRI Biosciences have a Symphony automated synthetic chemistry platform that basically figures out the best way to make a molecule and then makes it. And they did this from scratch in 1 to 2 weeks. So this just shows something that would normally take years down to a few days to weeks. And that's the power of AI. Now, AI-powered digital technologies are transforming the entire pharma value chain, from R&D to regulatory, supply chain, market access, and I should also put in here medical affairs, and marketing and sales, and monitoring and patient support. So different ways that we've used AI in pharma in these different areas are on this slide. So, discovery, I've already talked about some companies discovering new molecules, and in R&D, drug repurposing. There's lots of ways to use it in manufacturing for quality control, improving production, and even predictive maintenance. In clinical trials, there's lots of ways. I've just got a few examples here, like clinical trial design, recruitment. We do a lot of recruitment for clinical trials using AI, and automated clinical study report writing. So that can actually write a full clinical study report in less than an hour. And it's actually 100% complete. I always say 90 because you still want a human to check it, but it is actually 100. And then market access, we can actually automate a lot of the analytics here so that the market access analytics teams aren't crunching numbers all the time. We can do value pricing with AI, faster reimbursement. Supply chain, we can detect counterfeits, we can warehouse automation, we can actually map the entire supply chain. And with regulatory, we can be collating daily guidance, we can be automatically updating dossiers from guidance that comes out from World Health, etc. Medical intelligent literature monitoring, medical insights, medical guidelines, medical information and sales. And then of course sales, there's so many ways. We can do precision targeting of doctors, we can identify what doctors have rare disease patients that are undiagnosed, we can do switch prediction, personalized messages for the doctors, whispering agents to give, so the AI is listening into the call and giving hints to the salesperson what to say when the doctor's not as engaged. And in marketing, there's so many ways. Let me count the ways. KOL identification, HBC segmentation, finding rare disease patients, automated personalized marketing where you're serving up different messages in the right channel, in the right sequence, at the right time for the right doctor. So many different ways. So these are just a small sample of some of the things that we do. Now, how to succeed with AI? It's really not just a nice to have in pharma anymore. It's really core to business success, especially to future-proofing. And particularly now that we're facing some really difficult times ahead. So success in it shouldn't be haphazard. So many companies do all sorts of things trying to randomly come up with innovation. That leads to a lot of expensive failures. It should be strategy driven. You really want a clear line of sight to your strategy. And I always recommend you start with a strategic AI blueprint, because then you're going to align your AI with your strategic goals to ensure success. When we do a blueprint, we are looking at lots of factors to really prioritize what's going to have the most impact for the company. And here's just a few of the things we look at. The strategic fit, the likelihood of success, and I've been doing AI in pharma for over 20 years now. I can look at a project and tell you whether it's going to succeed or not. It's really based largely on the data availability. The impact, what kind of impact is it going to have to the company? Is it going to dramatically increase efficiency? Is it going to increase revenue growth? What's it going to do? What's the real world impact? And of course, the level of urgency that company needs it. And then of course, we always do a cost benefit analysis. But we've added, this was one of our earlier blueprint categories. We've added quite a few more in since then. So pharma companies are big, many of them. So doing a digital transformation is a little bit like trying to maneuver a massive container ship. It's difficult to turn about. There's a lot of energy required in getting it moving. But once it's underway, all it needs is a clear destination, good navigation, and strong leadership. And I have to point out that this kind of digital transformation does not have to come at the cost of day-to-day business or quarterly objectives. With the right strategy and approach, these kind of changes can be enacted without disrupting your ongoing business or threatening your bottom line. It doesn't require a radical disruption of exactly what you're doing now or overhauling everything. You actually can undergo a successful digital transformation while continuing to thrive in the short term by implementing intelligent, incremental changes in light of the overall transformation strategy. It really boils down to three things. Focus on what matters most to the company and what's going to have the biggest impact for you. Plot a course from where you are now to where you need to be, and adjust the course as new technologies become available. So the environment has changed. We need to learn from companies like Amazon and put the customer first. We also need to have a very creative innovation and business mindset, but everything we do with that mindset has to be tied to strategy. And then we have to deliver a strong customer experience. Actually, I have a white paper on digital transformation for pharma. So my email address is there. If you'd like a copy of the white paper, just drop me an email.